Hey.
And we're live. Hi everybody, welcome back to Crypto Talks. As usual. I was late. Oh, Golden Goose is complaining it was 2 seconds late. Oh. Well, either way, we're here now. And TA Monday again. We just talked about how not much have happened, really. However, there are some interesting things kind of going on around this whole thing, and we are at a crossroads, so to speak, in terms of uh, what a bunch of indicators are saying or indicating, and yeah, we're close to something happening. What it is, we can't really say, but we'll dig into it. Do you have any initial thoughts, Rob? Yeah.
No, it's sideways, it's toppy, but it's uppy. So until it stops, it only looks toppy, and once it starts reversing, and it's not reversed yet. So while it keeps making higher highs, keeps making higher lows.
Yeah.
It's not. It hasn't broken down until it breaks down. Once it breaks down, it's not as bullish, but currently, it's pointing upwards. So at this point now, it's wait and see. There's not much to really say or talk about.
Trend is still up, and that's about it, really. But we'll dig into it. I just want to mention, it's funny how you got stuck in the forest yesterday and couldn't come, or on Saturday and couldn't come. But also we were late because John, who was jumping in for you, he had to chase off some guy who was trying to steal stuff from under a car, apparently.
Oh, great.
It was like the weirdest thing. You'll have to watch back the Saturday show later.
Not a chance to yet.
Yeah, when you have the chance. So yeah, it was a really strange day for everybody but me. I was just sitting here waiting, like, what's going on? And Imre thankfully was in the chat with me the whole time, just hanging out. So that was great. Either way, let's jump into this thing. How do I? There we go. So everything looks familiar. We haven't changed anything since last time. We actually haven't changed anything for. I don't think we've changed the chart since this bounce happened.
We just deleted the downtrends, didn't we? As well, we didn't really.
We
just sort of moved it along over time. So.
Yeah, precisely. So now we're kind of back here, and I think I made maybe an extra line here just to kind of hold this up a little bit because it's sort of bouncing on this new line. It's not substantial, I wouldn't say, but still, it's there. So what I do want to talk about first, though, is that let's go with the Bollinger Bands first here. Obviously, we've been waiting for this. I remember last time we talked, I think the Bollinger Band had just cracked through this support level that we have for the fib. And we were kind of waiting for a reset to the middle band to see some kind of bounce or some kind of reaction. And now it's there, and so far, at least, we seem to have a wick that is basically bouncing on it. So it doesn't say much because the entire we have like a sideways move that is slightly leaning upwards overall, right here. And I think it's leaning up too much to be a bull flag. You could argue that, but yeah.
When it comes to patterns, I find that whether it's a flag or a pennant or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's the same. The behavior is the same. We're ranging we're in a sideways range after a breakout. Consolidate, as we did speak about, after such a big move up, you can either consolidate via price or consolidate via time. We are consolidating via time, and our kind of the last couple of weeks was very cautious and potentially we're looking for a pullback. We're looking for a pullback to sort of 25, 26. But if it doesn't come, the longer we are sideways, the longer we hold this bullish structure, then the more fundamentally bearish it gets. And this is what, and all it means really is that fundamentally it means that people say, like yourself, who have a buy order at 25k, and you're looking at the chart and you're going, I'm not sure it's going to come down that far. And you move up your order, and then you move up your order again, and you move up your. And where are you going to move it to? Well, you're going to move it towards the previous swing low. You're going to try and catch what is now the bottom of this flag, and
Yep.
everyone else is at the same time. And so, with this sort of really horrendously low volume sort of section,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hard to move prices up and down in this empty space in between what is now a very well-defined support and very defined resistance level. So it's no man's land until it breaks. And
yeah. I was actually just gonna.
Hang on, go Golden Goose. Rob is a perma bear. Like, do you remember my Discord name for literally about 3 years? Was Rob the Permabull. The Shameless. I was Rob the Shameless Permabull, I think, when we first met, Phil.
Yeah, I remember your name being Rob the Permabull, because the thing that really got me talking to you a lot was because you think like I do in many ways, but you have much more knowledge in certain areas, and that got us talking, right? That was why we became friends, because we just found the perfect, like, I guess synergy or something. But it's just funny because you can call somebody perma bear or perma bull or whatever, but the truth of the matter is that long term for the crypto space, I think anyone who's in this space is perma bull by choice, because otherwise you wouldn't be in this space. But you need to be able to flip into a bearish sentiment, like, in your mind, otherwise you're going to get completely destroyed. But either way, that's for another day. But so what I wanted to say here, you were spot on, because you actually mentioned two of the things that I wanted to get into, which was we were talking about a pullback, and we got one. This one, it's not very visible on the daily here, but we did get a pullback from this first try to get through this the 28.8k, and we pulled back to 26.5 ish here, very slowly, very boring pullback, but it was still a pullback down. And then it came back up again, and we tried it again, and now it's pulling back again. But now it actually has some real support there. This was just a floating support that hit this wick up here, I believe.
Yeah, which in itself, though, that as a nice flip from resistance into support, that was good, and it was a convincing bounce.
Yep.
What I am uncertain to, can you just pop to the weekly for a sec?
Yeah.
Is these candles are just I don't know why you're zooming out when I want you to zoom in.
Oh, I thought you wanted to see the whole picture. I tend to look at the bigger picture when I do this.
It was these candles are just disgustingly uncertain, and this is like, how boring have we been? This is over 2 weeks now of just top bottom, price going nowhere, and
seeing two of the same candles. Actually, it's forming a third now, which is much less volatile.
It is only Monday, though, isn't it?
Yeah, precisely. But it's still forming that for now. But you're right. It's like, this is so much uncertainty that it's almost ridiculous. This would indicate, like, certainty. Oh, it's bouncing. Like, come on.
If you look at that red
massive
doji,
hammer.
If you look at the candle, the one 2 weeks ago, the red candle at the top, like, that is an absolutely textbook reversal doji. Like, it doesn't get any clearer after such a big green rally like that. To see that candle is a big warning sign on the weekly, and so far it's held. So there is a sign that we talk about, talking about the low volume, is that there may not be very many buyers right now, but there's a hell of a shortage of sellers. There is nobody really selling the Bitcoin right now. And, in terms of, just coming back for a sec to my sort of perma bear, perma bull status, which just apparently tends to flip, is I am, my bearish scenario is based around a macro sort of collapse, which I think is coming. There are some invalidations to that. One of them being a proper substantial pivot from the Fed and a resumption of of money printing, which completely changes the game. Yes, that would immediately flip my bias. And
Yep.
so, yes, if the crash and that, or the other thing is a correction in time, and what we actually see is there's enough. The Fed have nailed it perfectly. They bring inflation down. There's a soft landing, and they've got it absolutely spot on. One of those two things is going to happen. That would be what would flip my macro bias.
Yep.
I don't think there's any chance of the second one happening, and I think the first one is potentially likely, and that's I'm not out of the market. But I do think, regardless, there's going to be an almighty collapse at some point.
Yep.
That collapse could come in a year's time, and maybe we're at all-time high again. So we get back up to 65,000, and then everything falls to shit, and we drop all the way back to 20. Very possible. And so that's so I'm you say my macro bearishness doesn't negate the fact that we've been on the charts, we've been talking about caution in that we're talking about turning around a year-long trend, and now we've started to turn it around. It's okay, how sustainable is it? And if it's as it currently stands, it's holding and it's being quite sustainable. This is a sustained rally that isn't reversing. So the longer this goes on for, the longer we have to look at it and start to really flip that bias, because the chart is telling you, no, things aren't as bearish as they were. And yeah,
I mean, you're right. You're right. Absolutely right. I mean, just looking now that we're still on the weekly, an argument for things to also flip down, I mean, just technically on the price charts, is a lot of this is starting to, I mean, not starting to, but usually you have these dip up, or red green type of oscillation on the MACD histogram, right? We are in the green, and it might start turning down here. Same thing with the RSI on the weekly. Even that is getting close to being oversold, indicating that it's time to sell. For example, the volume is gone. Like, there's no volume. We are at resistance. We have pushed up pretty far this year. We've bounced on the middle Bollinger Band as well. I'm just using these three indicators because this is like my standard quick look on everything. I just use these three and then I'm gone if I'm not interested, But like, just looking at this right here, what the TA is saying is resistance, topping out on Bollinger Band, starting to get close to topping out on the weekly RSI and MACD. And if you go to the daily, it's saying virtually the same thing. It's like, we're fighting support here. We still have resistance here. RSI is not that bad, but it's still in the top range. And the MACD just flipped to red. So it's like, and by the way, on the weekly, it's something I forgot to mention is the volume is actually decreasing since this week to this week. And now this week, we don't know yet, but a fall like this between 2 weeks of trading is quite substantial. I mean, that it's not even half as much trading last week than with the week before that. That's interest is gone, basically, or not interest. You could say interest is gone, but you can also say uncertainty is so high that people are just sitting there waiting for something to happen, and eventually something will happen. It will go up, or it will go down, or it will continue sideways for 365 days.
This is the psychological and emotional side of trading, is because because it was a short, this sustained short squeeze pushed the price up, and now it's sat right up against this resistance. And so, when we started pumping, so we mentioned numerous times 29k, roughly, 28, 29 was the target, because there wasn't anywhere else for it to go. It really wasn't a genius call by us. It was just a straight up, this is where it's going to stop. And here we are. So now you have people who've missed the bottom, that decided to, that maybe got caught on the wrong side of the trade, that either sold the bottom or didn't buy enough, or didn't buy according to didn't buy to replace what they'd sold. And now they're at this very difficult decision. Do I buy resistance, or do I wait for the pullback? And somebody has to buy the resistance. You don't break through the resistance unless somebody buys it. And so what we're seeing right now at this resistance level is not very many buyers. So
No.
they can come in, and as it stands, as we said, say the price action is upwards, even if, say, these, as you mentioned, a lot of the indicators are topping out and showing signs of exhaustion. The price is still upwards, and it's so the indicators are giving the warning signs, but the price will dictate the direction. The indicators don't mean anything until the breakdown happens. So for now, this is it's a no trade zone. It's as we've did kind of mention, if you are a trader, if you're somebody who wants to take book dollar profits, then if you were buying at 15, 16, 17, this is not a bad place to have doubled, nearly doubled your money in a few months.
Mm-hmm.
Because it could roll all the way straight back down to under 20 again, or it could pop up to 40. So
I believe the next target is actually 36. Something. 36.3, something like that. Yeah.
But then above that, I look at it really. You've got a band of just this. If you zoom out just a sec, you've got this horrible band from 36 to 42. I'd say.
I think it's 48 even. Yeah.
Well,
I'd say if you go this top here.
Yeah, I'm thinking 42 because you've got the peak from January 2021 so it's like around there. But even that it's a scrap all the way back up to all-time high. There is no from 36 upwards. There is no higher, no further easy routes. Yeah, and chances are, it's going to come back. And is it unlikely that it goes to, say, 50k? It has a really silly move up to 50, but then came back down to 30, basically where we are now. Like, no, that's perfectly reasonable. So it's brave to buy here because even if it breaks upwards, there is a significant chance that you'll be able to buy at a cheaper or similar price in the future. So that's the reason why price isn't going up. Price isn't going up because people ain't buying it. Yeah, but price isn't going is going down because people aren't selling it. So
and you're right. Everything you're saying here makes 100% sense to me. As always,
it's really it's very dull. It's not very exciting to be like to be like, we're not going to the moon, or we're not. It's this is it. And look at the chart that you can see here. Go back to September, October, November. This could go on for a lot longer.
And I mean, if you're talking about this right here, this is a sideways move. I mean,
and even if you could even extend that out to, as we've said, if you take off the FTX move, you're essentially talking about June to February with very little real movement for say you're talking 7 or 8 months of flat price action with one little blip in the middle. I'd go all the way back to June.
It's almost that. It's like 119 days of boring.
I'd keep going back. Go all the way back to June. It's 8 months.
Oh yeah, you could do that too. Yeah, you're right.
In terms of being range bound.
Yeah, it's this whole range that we have, like the fib level range that was set like ages ago. I mean, that's that's the bottom that we've been talking about since I think we started doing the TA Monday thing. But I think if you're watching this and you're trying to kind of navigate what you should do and you shouldn't do, like, you have to listen to yourself. But remember this: whatever you are feeling, everyone else is probably feeling that too, right? So if you sit here and you go, oh Dan, should I buy or should I sell? Should I buy or should I sell? I don't know. Everyone else is thinking the same thing, which is why we're sitting in this range right now, most likely. So it doesn't have much to do with the technical analysis side of it. It has more to do with the mass psychology behind trading overall and markets. And I guess that's one of the beautiful things about a free market. When people are scared, nothing happens, or everybody dumps.
It's if your job is a long-term, if your plan in the market is a long-term accumulation of Bitcoin, we are still within the buy range for a long-term accumulation and DCA. And
yeah,
so realistically, once we drop to a certain level, once we sort of drop to this sort of you can see it there, like it's now accumulation. It's accumulation between now and a break of the next all-time high. Essentially, that is kind of what we're looking at now.
yeah.
And so, and the next, we also consider the next all-time high maybe something like 80 or 90,000, and then we pull back to 40. It's this. The market could very, very substantially change, where yes, you've got a trader's market, you're still going to have this volatility, but my sort of long-term thesis for Bitcoin has always been it will gradually start to compress that volatility into essentially an up-only kind of pattern. With volatility, you're never going to get rid of the volatility, because increasing price action drives volatility. But as in, what you would start to see is a regular sort of, it would make 80k and then come back down to 50, and then it'd make 90 and then come back down to 60, and then it's 120 and then come back down to 60 again, and it'd still be volatile, but with 30, 40, 50% drops being a bear market. This one's been 70 or 75. The previous one was 85. The previous one was 90. The previous one was 95. It's clearly that the drops are getting smaller, but also the growth is getting smaller. So, this is accumulation territory for the next number of years, and whether the price is 15,000 or 18,000 or 21,000 or 30,000. That's the price of it, and you can either play the trader's game of trying to catch it cheap, which can work if you know what you're doing. You can catch statistically favorable trades, or statistically favorable periods to buy, but you still have to be kind of above average to just beat DCAing, and so that's just something to sort of be aware from. Is that you don't have to trade, or you don't have to worry about price going down after you've bought, because you can just adopt a mindset that says, I'm going to buy every week, no matter what the price is, and I'll see you in 10 years. And the probability is that future you would rather you did that than try to time market tops and bottoms and trades,
ripping your hair out.
Yeah, exactly. That is simply the fact of it. And they say that's that I've been through that journey, and that journey said to me, it's like, nope, I do not want to sit there shitcoin churning. I don't want to sit there leverage trading. I don't want to sit doing anything myself, because it ain't Wall Street movies. It's not it's not TikTok millionaires. It's brutal.
That's why we have the strategies that we're putting together, that we're going to make available for all of you guys and girls. It's now that we were talking about this whole buy or don't buy or whatever type thing, like if you're going to follow this chart, which is the rainbow chart, I think it's even called the Trololo chart or something like that. But essentially this is, I believe it's built on like the Metcalfe's law or something or other, or stock to flow.
No, it's the
I can't remember.
It's the logarithmic power. It's the power.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Law.
Yeah. So you got everything from maximum bubble territory all the way down to basically a fire sale, right? We were in after the FTX crash, we were in the fire sale area. Then we came up again into the range that we have been talking about, being kind of the bottom, which is the big buy button. And now we're in the accumulate phase, which means, like, even if we get up to, at this point, let's see, still cheap, 36 to 47k, according to this, and this is not us saying this, this is this chart saying this, and it's been pretty good so far, is still cheap, right? Once you get to 48k, then it's time to hodl, apparently, according to this chart, not to us. Okay, just making that clear. This is not financial advice, but sitting here and kind of scratching your head, oh, should I buy or should I sell? Like, I'm leaning more towards the buy side, which is why I'm still in. I'm pretty much still in with 80% of I have 20% cash basically, ready to buy a further dip if it happens. Because I don't want to be that guy that's sitting here waiting for something, for saying waiting for the dip and not being in the market at all, or in a position, and then it explodes away and I'm like, oh crap, right? I don't want to be that guy, so I'd rather hold a little bit personally, but that's me.
Yeah.
And I think that makes sense to a lot of people as well. Oh, that's the wrong chart. There we go. But yes, so essentially now we're kind of just waiting. Like I think we're on the crossroads now to see something break in any direction, because it's getting really tight up here, and the volume is basically gone completely. Last week, like I said, or 2 weeks ago, and last week it fell by like 60% in volume on the Bitcoin chart at least. And yeah, the only thing we can do now really is make your choice, whatever you're feeling, everyone else is probably feeling too. So make the choice that you want to make, and then go from there. Like, it's not the end of the world if you buy here and it dumps. Like, oh, okay.
No.
If you catch it, you could probably even sell early and then buy it back if you know what you're doing, or if you're really there the whole time being ready for it. But you're not gonna be there, so let's be honest. But yeah, it's not much more to say, I don't think, about the TA side. I mean, unless you have something specifically.
I got one thing to say.
Oh, all right, let's check it. There you go.
So this is Bitcoin dominance. And
yes.
Let's just come out to the daily. So, okay, if it decides to load, right? Yep. So this chart is Bitcoin dominance. So this is the amount of the total crypto market cap taken up by Bitcoin, and you can see before sort of mid 2017, they got March 2017. It is that was 96% Bitcoin. So then here comes Ethereum, and that is it. The market changes forever. And so we have been in, during the last bear market. So this was January 2018. So this was the absolute peak of the crypto market cap. Bitcoin dominance dropped to 35, 36%. And it then proceeded over the next bear market to rise all the way up to, say, 73% that is there.
Yeah.
Now, so just for context, people have, if you look at what that means, it means that the altcoin market went from being 63% of the market to being worth 28% of the market. So that is, and this includes stable coins as well, I'd like to point out. So including the tens of billions in stable coins, the altcoin market died well over half versus Bitcoin, and that's the overall market. That includes the ones the huge, the projects that have come along, things like Ethereum, stuff that survived the previous bear market, like Chainlink, Quant, a lot of stuff that's come along and grown, and the Cardano that's still around, new stuff that's come along in being Solana, Polygon. Despite all of those things coming along and taking huge amounts of market cap themselves, the market cap was still very, very dominated by Bitcoin. And then so we traded sideways in for pretty much a year and a half, 2 years, with this sort of declining dominance, this for Bitcoin, this move that said, okay, people are starting to take interest in alts again. Then at the end of 2020, there was one big, huge wipeout of altcoins before the mega bull run. And then after that bull run, stopped in sort of May 2021, which sort of I maintain that was the end of the crypto bear market. Crypto bull market was in April, May 2021, even though we made an all-time high later in the year. That all-time high was largely due to basically macro speculation. The wider market went a bit nuts, and crypto just sort of got dragged up with it. But since then, we've been trading sideways on Bitcoin dominance in this fairly tight range between 40 and 50% for nearly 2 years now, and we're coming back up towards the top of that range. And it's debatable whether or not you can count accumulation ranges for something like dominance, but I would say definitely that you can, in that this is saying we had our period of altcoin mania. That was over, and then since then the market has been deciding how to allocate this value within the crypto market, which altcoins to value, which ones to devalue, and within that you've seen Bitcoin have periods of taking liquidity and giving liquidity back, as it through these little mini cycles of altcoin, where altcoins have pumped and then altcoins have crashed. And a lot of people, I would think everybody who owns any altcoins, have seen their altcoin have a 50% dump versus Bitcoin at some point in the last year and a half.
Yep.
And we're now at this point, in price, in price with Bitcoin, where we're sat at this resistance level, we're also sat there in terms of dominance level of a big breakout level.
Yep.
And if this does decide that it really wants to break upwards, then I've drawn this diagonal downtrend here. I'm not sure how much that would really hold given where it originates from. But there's not really much support left on this chart up until sort of this 58%, basically 60% region. And that's a 20% drop across the board for alts versus Bitcoin.
Yep.
If it can get back up to, say, 70% from where we're at now, that's a more like 40 to 50% drop across the board for alts.
Yep.
And we've seen this happen before. So this is just something to sort of bear in mind, is that if Bitcoin does break upwards, one thing that we've seen throughout this rally is altcoins significantly lagging behind Bitcoin. And this we talked about this as well, how the market cycle moves. Bitcoin is currently the main mover in the market. That's not to say that alts won't pump. They will pump. They'll all have little days where they pop and you see something that's up 40% when Bitcoin's up 8%. But sustainably, where is the capital being allocated to across the crypto market? Currently, there's not that much altcoin speculation going on. We're seeing a bit of a flurry over the past few days because Bitcoin has moved up and then it trades sideways. And when Bitcoin has a rally and trades sideways, that's when you start to see alts pump. However, Bitcoin dominance hasn't dropped. So the altcoins aren't really outpacing Bitcoin on the whole. And if we just take a very quick look at ETH BTC, it's still, this is kind of the main constituent of the Bitcoin dominance chart. So it's no surprise to see, as Bitcoin was in an accumulation, ETH BTC has also been trading sideways in this range. Now, if altcoins are going to start moving up, it will be seen through ETH first. So this now is currently, if you're in altcoin positions, the ETH BTC chart is now a very opportune moment to watch, because if Bitcoin breaks up and ETH BTC breaks down, that's not great for the wider altcoin market, and that would signify that the altcoins will continue to bleed down against Bitcoin. That's just and that's something this isn't really speculative behavior. This is very, very well known understanding that this is what happens. Like, I've seen it happen so many times before. If Bitcoin breaks up towards the mid 30Ks, there's not many of your altcoins will keep up with it. No. Probably, in all likelihood.
It's funny you actually started talking about ETH, the ETH BTC chart, because I actually opened a position today on that chart. And I can actually share that, what I did with it. I'm not saying you should do the same. I'm just saying I understand that I like to hold onto my Bitcoin, but I'm willing to part with some of it in order to get some ETH, because actually I don't own any ETH right now.
Ooh.
I'm out of it. Yeah, that's why I've opened this position. I'm gonna just show this. So here's what I did. I grabbed the weekly close here, which is at 0.054 essentially, and the upper part of that is anchored on this, and this close here. It's not, the top range is not that important to me because I've layered it in from here down to here in order to get some ETH for my Bitcoin. But right now we're seeing some sort of bounce on the weekly, and on the daily actually I noticed it's kind of poking its head through the mid Bollinger, which it doesn't really follow the indicators that much. But it's like you said, Rob. Like if Bitcoin goes, ETH will come down to this most likely, because that's only from right here to the bottom of that range. It's only 17% against Bitcoin in value loss, which for me feels like a pretty decent place to make a swap.
Yeah,
personally. So I actually opened that today. It's funny you said that. I think it was 3 hours ago, actually.
Well, we both know what to look for, clearly.
Yeah, I think we're just nerds, aren't we? Like in a good way, like cool nerds. You know what? Nerds own the world, right? That's how it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still waiting for my my portion of it, so let's go get it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Should we round this off? Yeah, I think we should round this off. I think we're pretty much done here.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to reiterate what we've gone through either. All the resistance and support levels are still the same from what we've said. Resistance, support, and that's it. Maybe we should do it that quick every time. Who knows? But either way, yeah, we're rounding off here, guys. We'll see you Saturday, hopefully. And make sure you subscribe and hit the like buttons and all these things, and show this thing to all your friends that you've ever known in your life. Go out to town, hold up a paper, give out flyers in your city, for the cause, right? And we'll see you on Saturday. Yeah.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.